important for us to discuss some specific theories regarding aging. So let's start with the selective optimization with compensation model. Research reveals greater individual variation in cognitive functioning in late adulthood than at any other time of life. According to one view, older adults who sustain high levels of functioning engage in selective optimization with compensation. The idea here is that they select personally valued activities to optimize returns for their diminishing energy, and they find new ways to compensate for cognitive losses. So let's take each component here and then we'll put them together again. So selection is based on this idea that older adults have reduced capacities for some activities and tend to lose some aspects of functioning as they age. Therefore, they have to make choices about which domains they're going to maximize their functioning in and which they're going to reduce. So they select which domains they prefer to maintain a high level of functioning in. Optimization is based on the idea that with continued practice and maybe even the use of new technologies, it's possible for older adults to maintain previous levels of functioning or close to it in selected life domains. So they're optimizing their existing capabilities. And then compensation becomes relevant when the task at hand, so the one they've selected to optimize, still exceeds his or her current level of functioning. So older adults make adjustments to the way in which they approach these tasks that allow them to compensate for any losses. So I want to give you guys an example here. Arthur Rubinstein was a famous concert pianist, and people would say that he was able to play at 80 the way he did when he was just 28. He would respond and say that he did not necessarily play the same way. He just made it seem like he did. Use this model of selective optimization with compensation to try to explain how you think he did this. Okay, so using this model, you guys can pause it if you want to try to come up with your answers. But using this model, basically what he was doing was he would select fewer pieces to play to continue to master. He optimized his energy by having fewer pieces, and so he was able to practice those fewer pieces more. And he compensated for his decline in playing speed. For example, before a fast passage, he would play extra slowly, and the faster section appeared to his audience to move more quickly than he was actually playing. So this idea of selective optimization with compensation, these processes shape the course of development. So healthy aging includes signs of enhanced competence, quality of life, and future adaptation. So interventions can be created to help people achieve healthy aging. You can emphasize their competence, and you can try to target an individual's personal goals using this model, for example. Another model that we need to discuss is this competence environmental press model. And the really cool thing about this model is that we're trying to focus on the individual's needs rather than treating all older adults alike. So this model really allows you to take each individual by themselves and understand what they need specifically. So this method focuses on the relation between the person and their environment. According to competence environmental press theory, people's optimal adaptation occurs when there's this balance between their ability to cope and the level of environmental demands placed upon them. So competence is defined as the upper limit of a person's ability to function. We can look at this in 5 different domains: physical health, sensory perceptual skills, motor skills, cognitive skills, and ego strength. So their competence is really reflective of their biological and psychological forces. Now, environmental press refers to the physical, interpersonal, and social demands that environments put on people. So we see that there's this relationship, right, between a person's competence and their environmental press. Now, their adaptation level is that point at which the press level is average for a particular level of competence. So let me show you this graph here because this is going to help explain it a little bit more. So here, this dotted line is really their adaptation level. So pretty much anywhere within this zone, they are able to adapt. So you can see here on our y-axis, we have individual competence. It goes from low to high. Here on our x-axis is environmental press. That also goes from low to high. So if environmental press is fairly low, right, over here, competence doesn't have to be that high. But as environmental press increases, competence needs to increase as well. So again, this is your adaptation level. This is that area where press level is average for a particular level of competence. This is where behavior and affect are normal. So your zone of maximum performance potential then, this is going to be right here. Your zone of maximum performance potential is right here, and this occurs when there's this slight increase in press, and what we see is it tends to improve performance. It tends to improve. So, this is kind of like if you think about doing a workout, this is where they're asking you to push yourself a little bit harder than you really want to go. Your zone of maximum, but you're still able to rise to that challenge. Your zone of maximum comfort is right here. And this is going to be created when there's a slight decrease in press and people are able to live happily without worrying about environmental demands. Okay, so both competence and environmental press are going to change as people move throughout the lifespan. Let's take an example here. Let's take a physical example of walking up the stairs. What we see is that this idea of walking upstairs, your press and competence is going to change. When you're a little baby, how much competence do you have to walk upstairs? Well, definitely not very much, right? It's pretty low. But how much press do you have? How much need is there for you as a baby to walk upstairs? Well, definitely not much. But you could probably see then how as you get older and into old age, you might see competence here not become lower, right? Be down here, but press is still up here where you're not really able to manage it. And so this can lead to maladaptive behavior and negative affect. So this is just something to think about. So using this model, we can come and look at this. Changes in combinations of competence and environmental press can lead to either proactivity or docility. So people can respond in two basic ways to the changes in their particular combinations of press and competence. When people choose new behaviors to meet new desires or needs, they exhibit proactivity and exert control over their lives. So this is often going to result when people are high in competence. When people allow the situation to dictate the options that they have, this demonstrates docility where they have little control. So proactivity, again, it's going to be more likely to occur if people have relatively high competence, and docility is going to happen when people have relatively low competence. So try to think of some examples here. I'll give you guys one. So my grandma a few years ago had gotten hip surgery, and it was really her first major surgery, and she did great. I mean, she took her physical therapy so seriously, and her physical therapist told her that she thought that she should join a gym and do some of the workout classes just to kind of try to maintain some muscle strength. And so my grandma was going to this gym 3 days a week. Well, eventually she stopped going to the gym. So this as she was responding to the physical therapist telling her, hey, you know what, you need to increase your competence a little bit here, you need to keep maintaining your health. And so she was exhibiting proactivity, right? So she felt she was able to go to the gym to continue to exercise, and so she was doing that. As time went on, she started to stop going to the gym. And I asked her why, and she said, well, the classes made my muscles sore, and she didn't like that soreness in her muscles. So here, this is really more an example of docility, where she allowed the situation to really dictate her option. She said, I don't like how sore my muscles feel, and so I'm just going to stop going to the gym and stop doing that. So that's more an example of that.